What is mindful eating? How can we incorporate it into our day? What are the benefits of it? Mindfulness as a word is bandied around a lot. If you're on social media, you see it a lot. But I see it in practice with my clients and the difference that it can really make. I'm not saying it's everything in terms of the work we have to do, but it is an important integral part. Now, many of my clients do suffer with digestive problems, so it really, really helps with that, and I'll talk a little bit why it can really help. But it also helps with your metabolism, breaking down, absorbing your foods properly, absorbing your nutrients, and allowing your metabolism to work in the most effective way. And I know that for many of you in this group, that perhaps you find just everything around food quite anxiety provoking. You perhaps get quite stressed about what you're going to eat. There's a lot of thoughts going on in your head that what you shouldn't be eating, or feeling bad about something you have just eaten. And that creates a lot of stress in the body. But likewise, there may be some of you in the group that perhaps do not have such intense feelings as that around food, but you're not really focused on your food. A lot of mindless eating going on, emotional eating, which isn't all bad. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I know for some of you it's very distressing, and that's a very common challenge. And especially for people who binge eat, don't even kind of notice what they're eating almost. It's sort of inhaled in and they're not able to take the joy from their food. So there's a lot around this area. But there's also, for many people now, the way that we work, and especially lots of people working from home. I know a lot of my clients tend to be working at their desks and eating at their desk, and perhaps some people don't have a proper dining table at home, or somewhere a kitchen table or something, a place to eat, or perhaps they have a small table that has now been taken up with their computer and all their work stuff, and they're sitting eating at the same table where all their work is. Very often people are on their phones. Sometimes people prefer to have the television on while they're eating. So there's a lot around not focusing on your food when you're eating. A lot of the stress response is being created. So whether you're creating it because of the thoughts you're having about the food, or the anxiety or the worry, or general stress and worry about other things, whatever is going on, we are creating the stress response. And so what does that mean? We are releasing a lot of cortisol and other stress hormones into our body. That tells our body that we should be ready to fight or flight. We should be ready to be running away from the kind of saber-toothed tiger. Cortisol is very beneficial for many things. If we need to react quickly and get away from something quickly, it's sending all of our blood and our energies away from things like our digestive system into our muscles so we can get away, we can react. But most of us are in this stress response so much of the time that it's constant, and that is not good for many reasons, but one of them being that our digestive system is being shut down almost. Literally, it's not going to be working as well. So if you think back to all the processes that need to go on for digestion, we need to be releasing digestive enzymes. We need to be releasing stomach acid in order to break down our food. The action, the muscular action of peristalses to sort of push through food through your digestive system. And all of those things do not happen effectively when we are in the stress state. So what does that mean? That means we are not going to be effectively breaking down our food. We're not going to be effectively absorbing our nutrients. It's impacting our metabolism, so how we are burning our food as well. It means for many people they end up with bloating, but other digestive problems as well. And I know for many of my clients that bloating is very, very triggering for them. It's stuck into this vicious cycle because they feel bloated, gives them a feeling of sort of feeling fat, and then they have stressful thoughts, and then they're more worried about the food, it creates more anxiety, and then the whole thing goes on. So really important for digestive problems that we go back to basics and start to think about how we're eating, and eating in a mindful way. And really important just in terms of our digestive system working properly, but our metabolism. I know for many of you, the worry over the food And the harm that you're doing by creating that stress around the worry of the food is creating more problems for you than the actual food itself. I think this is really key. It's not necessarily about what you're eating, but it's about how you're eating that can go quite a long way. So I can't emphasize this mindful eating piece. It's such an important part and it makes such a difference. I've had clients that have had a history of disordered eating, and somebody I was thinking of actually came to me more for gut problems quite recently, and she'd had a history of binge eating for many years. She wasn't really focusing on that. She was focusing more because her digestive problems were causing her so much stress and the bloating was causing her a lot of distress. So she came for that and she tried so many things. She's done all these different tests with people, done all these different things, and no one had actually talked to her about her eating behaviour and her relationship with food. So we went back to basics with that, and that was the thing that made the biggest difference on the work that we'd done. And of course, you know, the mindful eating was revolutionary for her because she managed to really change the way she thought about food and her relationship with food, and it sorted her digestive problems pretty much. Maybe we did a few extra things, but that was the thing that made the most difference. You know, I love to look at other cultures. There's other European cultures, spend time, they make time for their meals, they sit down, they enjoy their food, and it's a part of a connection with family or friends and, you know, part of a community. And that's so important as well. I think when you're giving yourself that eating something with intent, so if, for example, you are craving some chocolate, but you're telling yourself all the time, I can't have it, I can't have it, I can't have it. And then perhaps you might end up binging with it at some point, because we know that that sort of denying yourself food can often lead to that. But actually, if you say to yourself, now, you know, amongst the work that you're doing, I'm choosing to eat it and I'm choosing to eat it at this point. And you actually, rather than eating it in a way where there feels like a lot of shame is involved, so you're eating it standing up perhaps quickly, not letting anyone else see and hiding it. It's about owning it and saying, yeah, I'm going to have some of this, but put an amount on a plate, sit down and eat it mindfully and actually get the joy from it. And many people, this can make a difference in not wanting to end up going onto a binge or eating more of that. It satiates them because they've actually taken note, they've actually eaten it in a way that feels very different without all the shame that's involved. So it can make a huge difference. You know, where do we start with mindful eating? Well, there is quite a lot more involved. Starting to eat maybe one meal a day, or even a snack like I spoke about just before, without distraction. So without television, without sitting on your phone, without answering emails, trying to take some deep breaths before you eat. Try and bring yourself into your rest and digest state. And that is really, really key. It's actually very, very powerful to do some proper deep belly breathing. If you know you're feeling a bit stressed at the time when you're eating, do that first, and that helps to bring yourself back into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what we want when we're eating, so that our digestive system knows what it's got to do and does what it's got to do. So eating slowly and savouring every bite. So just start with one meal or snack a day and see how that feels. And it might feel very weird at first, because if you're used to eating with distraction and completely not focusing on your food, it might feel a bit strange, but just try it. And I'd love to hear how you get on.